Daf Yomi, Tractate Sanhedrin, page 78a, part 2, and it's with the words Amarava, and it's towards the bottom. I'm not sure exactly how many lines, but it's more than halfway down, I would say. Amarava Hahoreg Es Hatrefa Pater. Those words, Amarava Horeg Es Hatrefa Pater. Rava says one who kills a trefa is exempt, and a trefa is an animal that has a certain wound or defect that will not allow it to live more than a year. Will cause it to die within that year. So he says that someone who kills an animal like this, he doesn't have to pay. I mean, certainly he'll get, from heaven. But I'm saying in the earthly courts, it says he doesn't have to. He's exempt as it is though he killed a dead person. And as for a trefa who kills another individual, if he killed him before the judges in court, he is liable to be executed. If the killing was not before the judges in court, he is exempt. Shahar b'fnei bezdin chayev, shelo b'fnei bezdin poter. Okay. B'fnei bezdin, my time chayev. Tiksiv ba'azalam yirimecha. Shelo b'fnei bezdin patur dehavi leya edus, she'ata yachol lazima. V'chol edus she'ata yachol lazima lo shmei edus. The Gemara explains, in the case of trefa who killed before the court, what is the reason that he is liable? He is liable, as it is written, and you shall eradicate the evil from your midst. Deuteronomy 13:6. From which is derived that there is a mitzvah for the court to eradicate evil, that it witnesses firsthand. The case where killing was not before the judges in court, he is exempt, as any testimony against the trefa is testimony that you cannot render conspiratory testimony. Even if the witnesses testifying that the trefa committed murder are found to be conspiring witnesses, they cannot be executed as they conspired to kill a trefa. And any testimony you cannot render conspiratory testimony, which is Adam Zayman, is not characterized as testimony and is not accepted in court. Okay. What will they think of next? Okay. Rava says one who sodomizes a male who was a trefa is liable to be executed for committing the act of sodomy. And for a trefa who sodomizes a male, if it does so before the judges in court, he is liable to be executed. Okay. Chayev trefa b'fnei bezdin. Chayev shelo b'fnei bezdin pater b'fnei bezdin chayev. Diksiv pater b'mecha shelo yehei beit din pater dehavi le edus she'i ata yachol lazima. Okay. A trefa who sodomizes a male, if he does so before the judges in a court, he is liable to be executed. If the act of sodomy was not before a court, he is exempt. The Gemara explains he committed an act of sodomy before the court. He is liable, as it is written, and you shall eradicate the evil from your midst. If the act of sodomy was not before a court, he is exempt. As any testimony against a trefa is a testimony that you cannot render conspiratory testimony. Okay. Ha tu lamali hainu hach harovea es hatrefa itztricha le mahu detemo. להווה כמאן דמה שמש Meis v'niftar. Kamash malon. Mishum. Hana. Who? V'ha is le hana. The Gemara asks, why do I need this ruling? The case of sodomy is identical to that of murder. Why then does Rava cite two cases with regard to capital transgressions involving a treifa? The Gemara answers, it was necessary for him to mention the case of one who sodomizes a treifa, as there is a novel element introduced in that halacha. Lest you say, let the status of one who sodomizes a male who is a treifa be like one who engages in necrophilia, and let him be exempt from execution. To counter this, Rava teaches us that this is his liability is due to the pleasure that he experiences, and this man who sodomizes a treifa has pleasure, as although the legal status of a treifa is that of a dead person, in certain senses, he is in fact alive. Okay. The treifa shehuz b'neragin. Ravashi Amar afilu adei treifa shehuz b'neragin. Lefi she'ein le'mizayim. Rava says witnesses who testify with regard to a treifa that he committed a capital transgression, when they were rendered conspiring witnesses, are not executed, as they conspire to kill one whose status is that of a dead person. Witnesses who are themselves treifa who were rendered conspiring witnesses are executed. Rav Ashi says even witnesses who are themselves treifa who were rendered conspiring witnesses not executed, due to the fact that they are not susceptible to a situation where witnesses who rendered them conspiring witnesses can themselves be rendered conspiring witnesses. Witnesses who render the witnesses who are themselves treifa conspiring witnesses, who then are rendered conspiring witnesses not to be executed because they sought to kill a treifa whose status is that of a dead person. Therefore, their testimony is testimony, and you cannot render conspiratory testimony and it is disregarded. Okay. My time. Amarava shor yisakel v'gam ba'alav yumas. Kol hecha dekrina bei v'gam ba'alav yumas dekrina bei ashor yisakel. V'chol hecha de la krina bei v'gam ba'alav yumas lo krina bei shor niskal. And Rava says an ox that is a treifa that kills an individual is liable to be executed like any animal that kills a person. And an ox belonging to a person who was a treifa that killed an individual is exempt. What is the reason for this halacha? It is as the verse states, the ox shall be stoned and the owner shall also be put to death. Exodus 21:29, based on the juxtaposition between the owner and his ox is derived. And beware that we can read concerning the situation, and its owner shall also be put to death. We read, meaning apply concerning it, the ox shall be stoned. And everywhere that we cannot read concerning it, and its owner shall also be put to death, we do not read concerning it, the ox shall be stoned. Since the owner of the ox cannot be executed, he is a treifa. His ox is also liable to be stoned. Ravashi says, Afilu shor treifa nami sharig potter. By time I came on the ilu bali mahavo petiri shor nami potter. Ravashi says, even an ox that is a treifa that killed an individual is exempt. Was the reason for this halacha based on the juxtaposition between the ox and the owner? Since if the owner were a treifa, he would be exempt. The ox that is a treifa that killed an individual is also exempt. Okay, Shisa boas achelev. Omar Rav Bar Yaakov shetim seloimar. Levei Rabbi Yehuda aras nachash then shinav hu omed lefichach makish b'saif v'nachash pater. Okay. The Mishnah teaches if one set a dog against an individual and the dog killed him, or if one set a snake against an individual and the snake killed him, the one who set the dog or the snake is exempt from punishment. If he embedded the snake's fangs into another person and caused the snake to bite him, I'll kill him. Rabbi Yehuda deems him liable to be executed, and the rabbis exempt him. Rav Acha bar Yaakov says, when you analyze the matter, you will find something according to the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Venom of a snake stands within its fangs, and in this case, the entire action is performed by the individual who embeds the fang in the other person's skin. The snake is passive. Therefore, the one who causes the snake to bite is liable to be executed by beheading with a sword as a murder, and the male and the snake is exempt. Okay. According to the statement of the rabbis, venom of a snake is discharged by the snake itself. The snake directly causes the death, while the individual who embeds the dog's fang is merely an instructional issue, is merely an indirect cause. Consequently, the snake is executed by stoning a snake. Whoa. And the one who caused the snake to bite is exempt from execution. Okay? The Mishnah says, Hamake es chaveroi bein be'evan bein be'egoif ve'amaduhu l'misa ve'hekel mimenu sh'haya l'achar mikan yichbid b'meis chayev v'nechemia omer patro sh'rglayim l'davar. The new Mishnah. The Mishnah says, in the case of one who strikes another, whether he does so with a stone or with his fist, and the doctors assessed his condition, estimating that it would lead to death, and then his condition eased from what it was, the doctors perceived their prognosis and predicted that he would live, and thereafter his condition worsened and he died. The assailant is liable to be executed as a murderer. Rabbi Nehemiah says he is exempt, as there is a similar similar basis for the matter, assuming that he is not liable, since the victim's condition eased in the interim, a cause other than the blow struck by the assailant ultimately caused his death. Okay, Gemara, Talmud says, Tan Rabbanan, Rabbi Sanhedrin Brisa, O Dorish, Rabbi Nehemiah, Im Yakum es Halachutz. Sages taught Rabbi Nehemiah interpreted this verse in arriving at his ruling. It is written, if he rises and walks outside. In Yakum v'tzalech b'chutz. And we'll stop it there. That's part 2. Very good.